26% of corporate sector professionals are not optimistic about receiving bonuses this year, while 33% say they don't expect salary increases in the year 2020. That's according to research carried out by executive research firm Jack Hammer. Now, for more on this, I'm joined from our Cape Town studios by the COO of Jack Hammer, Advaita Naidu, to discuss that research. Advaita, thank you so much for joining us. Fascinating numbers that your research has come up with, but it's also the lowest figure in 4 years. What should we read from those figures?
Well, I think we know that the economy has been in decline over a number of years in quite a few sectors. This is an annual temperature check that we do at Jack Hammer. We do it across corporate South Africa, so it's quite representative of senior level corporates. And finally, the fiscal realities are matching their expectations. And individuals are starting to realize that when company profitability suffers, then everybody is unfortunately going to feel the pain.
And now the issue around salary increases that are not expected by next year. It would be quite alarming if you put that up next to our inflation rate and the skyrocketing cost of living. What did your research tell us? What are people saying about how they feel about continuing like this if they know that perhaps there's certain things that they're going to have to cut back on in terms of their lifestyle and perhaps important things they're going to have to go without because those salary increases are not keeping up?
So, first there were a number of people that said they expected at least inflation-related increases, which means that their companies are taking into account that there are families and mouths to feed. But I think what was key for us is that South Africans remain very optimistic. About 70% of our respondents said that while business is quite tough, they are feeling quite positive about the future. And they listed a number of reasons for that. It was renewed faith in the government. It was knowing that in this Tuma Mina era that our president is going to bat for us and securing funding and investment into the country. And a lot of companies are actually innovating and being quite growth focused and looking to access untapped sections of the market rather than just cannibalize market share from their competitors. And it's really going to be innovation and disruption that is driving growth for us.
In which sectors are you seeing the most interesting developments in that regard? You focus particularly on the retail and financial services sector, where many businesses are not meeting their targets. What kind of impact is that having on the businesses, and indeed how their staff feel about staying in those industries?
So we did find that in financial services and retail in particular, those are the industries that are really looking to disrupt and to innovate because they realize that doing what they have been doing over the past few years hasn't been working for them. So these are where we find the strategies of innovation and something that's thinking outside of the box and not just looking to disrupt the industry, but also to disrupt themselves.
That's often a talking point around the number of qualified and skilled people leaving South Africa, whether for political reasons or other. You have found in your research that you believe that figure of brain drain, as it were, has reached a plateau. Why?
Yes, so we actually experienced quite a big jump a few years ago. From 29% to almost 80% of people who said that they would consider moving. But that figure has hovered around the 80% mark for the past few years. And we feel that there are people who are still feeling confident and they know that there is hope. But we also know that sentiment doesn't translate into action. And in this age of global mobility that we live in, a move doesn't mean a permanent move. And people might want to go out and experience the world. But at Jack Hammer, we do have a lot of expats contacting us and asking what opportunities there are still in South Africa. So there is something of a brain drain, but we don't feel it's permanent.
Does any of that have to do perhaps with the age of perhaps those newly in senior executive positions, like the people that you've researched?
Yes, absolutely. So there are a number of executives who would want to go and gain experience overseas and then are committed to bringing those skills back to South Africa. There are a number of emerging skills disciplines where in South Africa we're still catching up with the rest of the world, but we do have professionals bringing their skills back into the country and upskilling their peers.
Okay, thank you so much. Fascinating insight there from the COO of Jack Hammer, Advaita Naidu. Thank you so much for joining us there.